Yo, what is good, everybody? I'm your boy Jadiro, and this is my endgame build for Druid in Diablo 4 for Season 7. And let's go quickly over the aspects here. And on our two-handed weapon, we're going the aspect of the Changeling's Debt. This gives us a damage multiplier when we deal damage to poison enemies while in werebear form. Moving up to the gloves, we're going the aspect of Metamorphic Stone. This will allow Boulder to become a core ability. And now moving over to our ring, we're going the aspect of Retaliation. This increases the damage we deal with our core abilities based on how much Fortify we have. Now moving on to the pants piece here, we're going Storm Shifter's aspect. This will give us +5 ranks when we're using Hurricane on our shapeshifting abilities. Now moving on to the chest piece here, we're going the Wild Bolts aspect. This will help us pull enemies every 2 seconds, and we get a damage multiplier, and this is simply just to help with the wave clearing. But let's go over the unique items next. As for our first here on our feet, we're going Flicker Step. This will help reduce the cooldown of Cataclysm so that we have it up all the time. Then we're moving up to Facility's Prayer. This will make our Earth skills werebear skills. And it will also allow our werebear skills to fortify us. Now moving over to the right here, we're going to the necklace piece and we're going Dolem Stone. This makes the build really come together because it allows us to cast Boulder and Hurricane simultaneously. And every time that we cast Boulder, it will collect in our Hurricane and create an AoE damage effect. And this also gives us a damage multiplier to Boulder. And then finally, we're going Mobalytics Ring. Mobalytics Ring gives us a huge damage multiplier when we use Cataclysm. And it also gives us unlimited spirit for the duration of Cataclysm. Now that's all the aspects. Let's go over some of the stats on the character sheet here. Now the only stats that you should be concerned about here are willpower and maximum life. As you can see on most of my pieces, I'm going willpower and maximum life. Now there are some exceptions where you might need some armor or you might need some resistances to help us with damage reduction. And in terms of what you want to prioritize on the uniques is simply get the greater affix, if you can, in the spot that gives us more skill points to our passive skills. Now that's not always going to be perfect, but as long as you have these items, you're going to have a great build. In terms of the tempering, what we want here is the chance for Boulder to strike twice. And we wanted to add some additional overpowered damage. Now as for the gloves, critical strike damage is fine and the chance to slow is fine. Now as you can see here on my chest piece, I need an additional maximum life. I could also have went resistances if I want, but I also went the lucky hit chance to freeze our enemies. All these lucky hit, freeze, slow, stun will help stagger big bosses. Now one I have here as a special mention is for cooldown to Hurricane. If we move down to Hurricane, you see that it has a cooldown of 11 seconds, and its cast time, it only stays active for 10.8 seconds. So we want to get Hurricane to the point where it's almost always off a cooldown. And speaking of cooldown, let's move on to the RUNEWORDS next. Now on the chest piece, we're going to RUNEWORDS of Back and Eon. This will allow us to reduce our active cooldowns every time that we travel 10 meters. And this will definitely help us have Hurricane off a cooldown all the time. Now in our helmet, we're going Neo and Zan. This will give us a guaranteed critical strike and overpower proc at the same time. Huge. And how this happens is simply by avoiding damage for over 2 seconds. This will fill quite quickly in the right circumstance. As for the gems here, guys, just fix your resistances. I did go an Eldritch gem that just increases our unique witch power, which is do more. But we'll talk more about the witch powers in just a sec. And as for the armor piece, all I was simply trying to do here was increase my additional stats. This will help with the Paragon board, and I'll explain more on that later. But that does it for everything on the character sheet. Let's move to the Spirit Boons next. As for the Spirit Boons, we're going Weariness, reduce the damage that we take from elites. Then we're going Increase Maximum Life. And then we're getting Critical Strike Damage Multiplier with Avian Wrath. Moving down, we're going Calamity to extend the duration of our ultimate skills. Cataclysm is Beast. And then finally, we're going Obsidian Slam to give us an overpowered proc with our Earth skills every 6 times that it's casted. Now, if you feel you have enough maximum life, you can always go Scythe Talons. But for the life of me, no pun intended, I can't find a way to increase my maximum life beyond what's at. So if you guys have any pointers on how to make your maximum life get to the top of the top maximum life, please let me know down in the comments. As for our abilities, let's go over our primary abilities first. I talked about them already. We're going Hurricane, and then we're going Boulder as our core ability. Hurricane is simply just to be procced so that we can use Boulder. And we're going the version of Boulder that gives us poison damage. Now why this is important is because of Changeling's Debt. This multiplier only procs once the enemy is poisoned while we're in werebear form. And with Boulder having poison damage, this is going off all the time. Now moving over, we're going Cataclysm. This is our ultimate ability, simply just to give us unlimited spirit and a huge damage multiplier. Then we're going Earthen Bulwark. This is simply just for Unstoppable. Cyclone is just for passive damage reduction. And Trample is just another Unstoppable proc. All our main damage is coming from Cataclysm, Boulder, and Hurricane. Now let's go over to the skill tree here, and I'll leave it open for you if you guys want to see how I invested the skill points. As for the skill points and the passive skills, we went Wild Impulses for increased core damage. We also went Predatory Instinct for increased critical strike chance to close enemies. Now moving down to the defensive tree, we went 3 into Ancestral Fortitude for increased resistances. And I put 1 point into Vigilance only because I couldn't go to the next tree unless I invested a point. We totally skipped past the Companion tree and we moved straight to the Wrath tree. Now we're not putting any points in Trample or Hurricane because Dolem Stone gives us +5 to our Wrath skills. But we are putting points into Endless Tempest to give us increased duration to Cataclysm and Hurricane. Then we're putting a full 3 into Mending and into Provocation. Mending will increase the health we have while in Werebear form, and then Provocation will also give us an overpower proc. Then we're maxing out Crushing Earth and Stone Guard as well. We get a damage multiplier with our Earth skills for both Crushing Earth and Stone Guard. Then moving down to End Venom, we're getting a critical strike damage multiplier to poison enemies. Now moving down to our ultimate skill tree, now this is where things get a little bit interesting. We're putting a full 3 into Catastrophe so that we get a damage multiplier when we proc Cataclysm. And then we're maxing out Defiance, Circle of Life, Resonance, and Natural Disaster. We're getting 3 different damage multipliers, and then we're getting life on hit with our nature magic skills, like Boulder. Then we're putting a full 3 into Quick Shift. This will give us another damage multiplier when we're shapeshifting. And we'll be shapeshifting with Hurricane and Boulder. Hurricane will transform us into a human again, and then Boulder, we're back into a werebear form. Then we're maxing out Defensive Posture as well. This will increase the amount of fortified we gain, and it also gives us additional damage reduction while we're fortified. And then finally down to our key passives here, there's 2 different options you can go. Now, if you don't want to worry about the cooldown of Hurricane, go Nature's Fury. Simply by casting Boulder, it will also cast Hurricane. However, there's no damage multiplier here. Now, this is all for Torment 4, but if you're trying to push in the pit, you definitely want to go Ursine Strength. Ursine Strength will give us a crazy multiplier to our maximum life while in werebear form. And then we also get a damage multiplier while healthy, and then we get increased overpower damage with another multiplier. But that does it for the passive skills. Let's move over to the Paragon board next. All right, here we are on the Paragon board. We got our 5 boards, and our first glyph that we're going on our first board is Earth and Sky. This gives us a damage multiplier to our nature magic skills. Moving up to our second board here, we're going Thunderstruck. This will increase the damage once we're using Cataclysm. And then the rune that we're going is, or the glyph, sorry, is Electrocution. This will give us increased damage from the Lightning Bolts and Dancing Bolts that Cataclysm casts. Moving up, we're going Survival Instincts to increase the damage and the damage multipliers that we get while in werebear form. And we also get an overpowered damage multiplier. Sweet. And Dominate is the fitting glyph that we have for this board, and this increases the damage that we deal to an enemy that's been overpowered by us. Now moving over to our next board here, we're going Ancestral Guidance, another damage multiplier, and it also gives our ultimate skills a damage multiplier. And the glyph that we're going is simply just Headhunter. We deal increased damage to elites. And then for our final board, we're going Earth and Devastation to increase the damage we deal with our Earth skills. And as for the glyph that we're going Fang and Claw, so we get a damage multiplier while we're in werebear or werewolf form. And if you guys want to skip all that talk, you can go over to Mobalytics, and it's called my Season 7 Druid Ball Z Endgame Build. And I've got everything here for you from the assigned skills, the skill tree, the Paragon board, and the mercenaries. And what I'll do is I'll leave a link in the comments and in the description for you, so you guys can go click on that, go over to Mobalytics, and see the build there. But that's it for the overview of the Paragon board. If you guys want to see every nook and cranny in detail, again, it's over at Mobalytics. All right, with the Paragon board done, let's go over the mercenaries next. Now, as my main mercenary, I'm going Subo, simply to give that critical strike damage multiplier that we get from him. And as for a reinforcement, I'm going Variana, so every time that we use Boulder, we get increased attack speed. Nothing game-changing. You can simply, again, go whatever mercenary you like. Now, that's it for the mercenaries. Let's go over to the witch powers next. As for witch powers, we're going Doom Orb all day. Big damage. Love it. Now, the main 3 witch powers that I really like are Shaken Soul, Soul Harvest, and Force of Will. I like Shaken Soul because it allows our Eldritch abilities to apply vulnerable. Now moving over to Soul Harvest, whenever we use a cooldown, we're getting our primary stat multiplied. Awesome. Now moving over to Force of Will, this is probably the most important. So whenever we murk 2 enemies, our next 2 overpowers will deal anywhere from 6 times to 100 times the damage. Crazy. As for Abyssal Resonance and Firebat Servants, you can simply go whatever you like. You can replace these 2 if you feel so. Now, why go Abyssal Resonance is simply because we get a cool Vortex ability, and it also does a crazy ton of damage. And as for Firebat Servants, this is simply just favor. I love this ability. I just like seeing the Firebats come down and do their damage. So with all that being said, Abyssal Resonance and Firebat Servants can be swapped out. So that was it for witch powers. I'm going to give you guys a rotation demonstration next. All right, pretty simple. What you want to do right off the hop is do Cataclysm, then proc your Hurricane, and then just start spamming your boulders. And as you'll see, your boulders just start doing what they're supposed to do. Now, what you don't want to forget to do is to evade through your enemies, because it will bring Cataclysm back off of cooldown. Also, keep your eye on your Hurricane, because whenever that's on off cooldown, you want to proc that again. Pretty simple. And it does pretty sweet damage. No snapshotting. Alright, so that does it for the rotation demonstration. Let's jump into the pit next. Now we're going to jump into a tier 70 pit here. We can comfortably run this with this build. And what that means is we can do anything in Torment 4 with this build. Now I know what you're thinking, that this is not a tier 100 pit. But I believe there is some exploitative measures that you have to go to get into a tier 100. Now I hear this phrase going around called snapshotting. I do not approve. I don't approve of exploits making builds better at all. And if you haven't guessed it already, my builds are for people that just simply want to pick up the game, play, and not have to go through any hoops and hurdles to make their build excellent. And I hope all the pro and casual gamers alike enjoy these builds. Now once I start investing more into the masterworking and going above level 8 on all my gear, and additionally getting some mythic uniques, I think this build will push a lot further. But here we go, no potions or anything, just a tier 70 pit run with our Druid. Just want to show you guys it's possible to do it if you just simply have the same gear setup that I do. I have nothing special going on. I'm not snapshotting anything with Cataclysm, even though Cataclysm is probably one of the best abilities that we have. Yeah, just want to show you guys it's possible to push tier 70. Now I want to achieve pit 100, tier 100, but you know that takes time, and I think I have to put a little bit more time and get my hands on some mythic uniques, like I said, in order to get us pushing a lot further and a lot faster with these builds. But man, tier 70 is pretty sweet. Like I'm telling you, you're gonna be able to solo any boss if you're looking for the gear. And if you're looking for the gear that I have particularly, I suggest you run Lord Zier. Duriel was also good, where I got majority of my gear from, and Gregory or Grigwar. I don't know how to say his names properly, but if you he drops Facility's Prayer and he drops Insatiable Fury, which is the chest piece in the helmet, if you so choose. But yeah, again, this build is doing significantly better than I thought it would without snapshotting. And that's something I don't approve. I see a lot of these builds doing, you know, snapshotting, pushing like tier 118. I think I saw one the other day for 100. It's like it was. Yes, you can, Subo. Yeah, it was like tier 147. But I believe what people do is they simply just run Cataclysm, and then I don't know how to exactly do it. But you can like snapshot Cataclysm to do a crazy amount of damage with the rune words that we're using, but I'm not sure how to use it, nor do I want to know how to do it, because I think it's exploitive of the game, and I don't know. I don't agree with that, but that's just me. And again, if you guys want to learn how to do the Cataclysm build, I'm sure it's out there, and I'm sure they express how to do the snapshotting is what's called. But yeah, this is just me going through the game. Regular run. Here's 70. I'm happy with the build. I'm going to be able to do anything in this game. And it's, you know, it's kind of unfortunate too in some circumstances that we measure our success by how high in a pit we can push, right? Which is, you know, I don't think that's a bad thing. I just wish there was leaderboards. You know, that'd be cool. And like there'd be leaderboards for like different activities. That would also be cool, but you know, we'll get there eventually with Diablo 4 for sure. For now, this is what we got. And yeah, this build is so much fun. I think this build was also viable in Season 6 and Season 5. But I wanted to bring it back because it's got a little bit of cooler things about it, like a little bit of cooler things about it. It's definitely, I like the poison ability on the Boulder. I don't think Boulder had that before, and it really helps with the changing step. But yeah, I'm having fun, man. We're tanky, we're pushing. It's awesome. It's awesome. I think we're just about done the build here. The run here. We are what? Is it 15 minutes usually that we get in the... So we're about 4 minutes deep. Not bad. I know like 1 minute to like 3 minutes is the optimal clear time, but man, this is still fun. Again, tier 7, you can be able to do whatever you want. Anything you want, you'll be able to grind in the game with this build. I believe the highest I got was... the The highest I got, I think I'm pushing tier 80 is what I'm stuck at right now. But there you go. Amazing. But there you have it. We did a pit tier 70. Not too bad. Now let's go over that build summary next. Main abilities: Hurricane, Boulder, Cataclysm, Earthen Bulwark, Cyclone Armour, and Trample. Main mythic unique that we want here is Dolem Stone. This really makes the build pop off. As for all the other aspects and all the tempering, all the stats on the armor and weapons, I'll link that for you in this video, and you guys can go check it out there. And for everything else that revolves around this build, you guys can go over to Mobalytics. Again, I'll leave a link in the description and in the comments for you. I hope you guys enjoy this build. I'm moving over to the Spiritborn or the Barbarian next. I had a lot of fun making this build, and I can't wait for you guys to try it out. Well, that does it for me. I'm your boy Jadiro. Sign out for now. Peace.